Has the laser cannon been loaded aboard my jet?
Everything has been prepared as you ordered. But how did you get permission to return to New York, Master?
Through the efforts of a pompous, misguided.
Hello and welcome to, what do I call this again? See You After Hours, yeah. See You at 6's second channel. A lot of you probably don't even know See You at 6 at all because I have like 20 subscribers, but I made this because I can and it's a way for me to get my feelings off my chest, especially late at night. To all of you who have seen Butterfly Soup, or at least my videos of them more specifically, this video is going to be a lot different, but I want to get into that later because I want to issue like a serious warning. This video is going to go over Akarsha's depression and mentions of suicide. So to all those who are unable to deal with those kind of topics, I highly, highly recommend clicking off the video for your own mental health and sake. And I wish you all a good night, a good day, a good afternoon, and I'll see you later. But to those of you who are going to stay, I'd like to explain to you how and why this video is going to be kind of different from the other videos that I've made. I realized that Butterfly Soup 2 goes over way deeper and more meaningful topics than Butterfly Soup 1. And this is nothing new. This isn't anything secretive or kind of unobvious. It's front and center, especially since you're playing as Akarsha the very first time. And she is a very detailed character, if you're paying attention, and I really like that. She is the one character that I really, really liked the most. She's at the top of my list of characters in Butterfly Soup 2, because I see a lot of myself in Akarsha, like to a crazy amount. And so I wanted to make a video on it. And what I realized, alongside the fact that Butterfly Soup 2 deals with deeper topics, since Butterfly Soup 2 deals with deeper topics, it'd be a lot better, it'd do Butterfly Soup 2 a lot more justice to give each character their own video instead of giving a play-by-play of the game. Because I wanted to hit home for you all the way it hit home for me. And obviously, not everyone is going to be living in the same situation as Akarsha or me or Noel or Dia or Min, but I still want it to hold some sort of value to you all. So if you're living with accepting parents, I just want you all to be able to understand what it's like to be living with unaccepting parents or strict parents, you know? Speaking on what I said earlier about how I see a lot of myself in Akarsha, the first thing I really wanted to talk about, because it talks about a lot of the other things I want to talk about later, she has an extreme fear of missing out, as do I, and I can probably say as do a lot of you watching. We all have a fear of missing out on something, and that's perfectly fine. But the way that Akarsha went about dealing with that is kind of the whole reason why I wanted to make a video. And like I said earlier, this one topic is going to be like an umbrella for a lot of the other stuff that I want to talk about later, but like it'll briefly go over them. Her fear of missing out kind of led to her depression. And her depression led to her thoughts and mentions of suicide. She always felt that no one would ever love her. No one would ever love the real her. She would never be able to hold hands with somebody. She would never be able to kiss anyone. She would never get married. She thought that she would die alone. And that is something that I really, really relate to. Of course, I'm still young, but it's something that everybody deals with, no matter how old they really are. And I feel like that's not something that's really talked about enough. Not only in games, but in real life too. It's just not covered. And a lot of that is because no one really notices. And I can't blame them because I keep to myself a lot. And people who are dealing with depression tend to keep to themselves. They don't want to bother anyone. They don't want to annoy anyone. Everybody has their reasons for keeping to themselves. And that's probably why you don't see very well written or realistic depressional depictions in media. But what I said earlier about how she holds a lot of her feelings in and doesn't really talk about them a lot is kind of what I wanted to talk about next. She uses comedy and jokes, bits, one-liners, so on and so forth, as a reason to not deal with her feelings. She thinks that if as long as she just plays it off as a joke, it's as if the feelings were never real in the first place. A prime example being when she confessed to Noelle for the first time over text. I feel like that was strategically planned out because when Akarsha didn't get the exact response she was expecting, she quickly played it off as her brother took her keyboard and decided to type something really funny, right? Instead of just owning up to the feelings, she decided to push those feelings farther down and not deal with them. And how do I say this? That really, really messed her up. Obviously, getting rejected will mess anybody up, but it's how she dealt with it, in my opinion, that really made her character such a good character. And I'll talk about that later, probably sometime soon, because it's kind of coming up. But another really, I shouldn't say cool, another interesting part about her character was how she never fully committed to anything. And I didn't even really notice that the first playthrough until Noelle brought it up. To feel in control of a situation, she would set herself up for failure. Like the way that she will get like a B+ to an A- on every test, every major test, but will bomb like a quiz or a homework assignment or a classwork assignment to kind of, in Akarsha's words, to reverse the expectations. This is again her using comedy and jokes as a form to not deal with the fact that she never commits to anything. And not committing to anything is kind of a harsh way to put it. She just sets herself up for failure to feel in control of a situation. That's what I should have said. But it is a really bad habit that she's had for a really long time. And a lot of that is I feel like a lot of that is because of something else that I want to talk about. How her past encounters make things a lot harder. And by past encounters, I mean past encounter, singular. She had this one girl, I think it was, she had a crush on. And she decided to, grow a pair and confess. But that girl not only rejected her, but she stopped talking to her, told her friends, and her friends also stopped talking to her. A lot of the reason why she never fully committed to asking Noelle out and the reason why she had such a huge fear of missing out, I feel like is duly in part to that past encounter. She's afraid. She even tells, I think it was Dia this. She's afraid that everybody's going to leave her again. That she's never going to have the close group of friends that she does now, all because she has perfectly normal feelings. And especially with her situation and how she is growing up, that's completely, like, her feelings are completely understandable. I just feel like she has to come to terms with the fact that not every person is the same. And I mean that in the sense that not everybody's like that one girl that she asked out. Not everybody's going to leave her simply because she asked them out. This does kind of talk about what I wanted to talk about next, so it'll be kind of shorter than usual. But she has a severe case of over self-criticization. Now, when people usually say self-criticization, people usually use it in a bad way. But I feel like criticizing yourself in moderation can be really, really good for you. Because a lot of the time, when you ask somebody for advice on something, they're either going to be too blunt or they're going to sugarcoat it as to not hurt your feelings. But if you were to ask yourself, or that kind of other voice in your head, they're going to give you the exact honest answer in a way that you can understand and build off of that advice. But Akarsha had over self-criticization. She didn't like certain aspects of herself because it didn't compare to other people. A really good example was the fact that she felt the need to be funny all the time because she wasn't pretty like Dia was, and nobody would like her if she felt that, I should say. She felt that nobody would like her, let alone love her, because she wasn't pretty. So that's why she needed to be funny, to at least have a chance of making somebody fall for her. Or the fact that she was bi. She felt that no girl would ever want to date her because of the fact that she's bi. And to an extent, that kind of self-criticization can be okay as long as you work to, like, for example, when she felt that she wasn't pretty enough, that is a perfectly normal thought to have. But you really gotta come to terms with the fact that nobody's built the same. Kind of like what I said earlier. Everybody, and obviously you've heard this a lot, everybody is unique in their own way. Everybody's attractive in their own way and in their own right. And she just needed to come to terms with that. But seeing, especially in this first act, seeing like that kind of environment without the immediate personal growth was really, like, inspiring for me is the right word, I think. But calling back to what I said of how she was bi and how she felt like no girl would ever want to date her for that. Her home life and school situation really, really made matters worse. Starting with the home life, which is kind of easier to talk about, at least for me, her parents had high expectations, I guess I should say, for her. Her sister got into nursing school, I believe, to be a neuroscientist. So she always felt that if her sister could do it, her parents' expectations weren't high, but she couldn't even do the bare minimum. And that constant comparison in her head really, really messed her up and just made her feel like she wasn't enough at anything. But pile that on top of the fact that almost every day, quite literally, I guess I should say, she has to be around Dia and Min, the queens of public displays of affection. And to those of you who haven't experienced it, being around couples when you feel like you're never ever gonna find love in your lifetime is one of the worst pains of all time. Like something I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy. So it was a real struggle for her to even deal with the feelings that she had, because she didn't feel like she could talk with Dia about it because she felt like Dia wouldn't understand. This is just my interpretation of it. It hasn't been said in game or anything. But I feel like she felt that she couldn't talk to Dia because Dia was in a relationship, so she couldn't really understand what it would be like to be in Akarsha's shoes. And Noelle, at the time, was a to the T stickler for the rules who didn't quite understand homosexuality. So she could never talk to Noelle about her feelings for other women as a woman, right? So she felt that she had nobody to talk to. And that can really, really drive you into a corner. It can really, really drive you into a corner and make you feel like there's just no way out. But what I like is not only did Akarsha grow as a person as the game went on, but so did Noelle. And that helped them grow closer. And then, as you may know, as you could have already guessed, I should say, they end up going out. But just for this specific part, I can really, really, really understand how she felt, how and why she dealt with certain things the way she did, and things like that. And that's why she was such a fun character for me to talk about and to just play the game as, because I was essentially just living vicariously through her. I was essentially just playing as myself, but in a non-boring world. And with that, I've run out of things to talk about. Akarsha as a character, in my opinion, is a great depiction of how depression can really, really, kind of mess with your head. And your environment can really alleviate or add to certain aspects in how you deal with certain things and how certain things affect you. And, I want to give my shout out to the creator, Brianna Lei, I think it is. I apologize, I don't know how to say her last name. On the very, very rare off chance that you do see this video, Brianna, thank you for making Butterfly Soup 1 and Butterfly Soup 2. They are amazing, amazing games. And, I wish you're doing well. But with that, since I have nothing to talk about, I want to end the video. Obviously, there's nothing else to do. So, good night, good day, good morning, good afternoon, and I'll see you later.